Good afternoon. How are we all doing? Bish, bash, and bosh. I'm just trying to open up Google Chrome. I want to put some different music on to Overwatch, but the thing is, Google Chrome's just not opening, and I don't know why. No, it's literally just not opening. Well, that sucks. Well, I'll leave Overwatch on in the meantime. Yo, Steve. Yo, Jar. How we doing? Says hello. Anyone there? Well, I'm here now. I did unmute the mic, didn't I? Yeah, good. Thinking of doing a bit of a chilled stream today. That's what I planned yesterday when I did Isla Penna on Jurassic World Evolution, but that turned out to be a pain in the penna, or a penna in the arse, as I called the save file. Yeah, I guess Google Chrome's not working. Well, I just wanted to see if I could do something quickly. Steve says Evo is never a calming situation. Well, no, you're not wrong there. I was pulling my hair out. Absolutely pulling my hair out at one point. I found a new track I want to download for background music for these streams. I'm going to have to download it on my laptop and then send it over to this computer. Okay. While that's downloading. For those of you who are just watching this stream either now or when it's archived on my channel, there's a new Black Sack episode out today with Friends Like These from 1991. I do recommend going to check it out. We had a very funny time with that film. It was a whole lot of nothing. Do you know what? On here, I'm actually going to change the size of this picture here. It's Dimetrodon. I'm just going to organise my layout here. There we go, that's better. I moved myself over a little bit. Paddock set is looking good, says Steve. Cheers. There we go. That looks much better. Hey, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? The download. Maybe it's because I'm trying to live stream at the same time. Let me just see. Yo, Nostalgia King says nice Paddock. Thank you. Yeah, I think today's starting point is actually behind these trees here, and in between these trees and these trees, I'm going to add more jungle to really thicken it out. British Tyrannosaur. And then I'm going to focus on, after I've done that, I'm going to focus on making the building look even better. And then if I do have time, I'll do the foreground. Hey, it works, right. Okay. Let me just stop that. Find where that is. I'm going to bung that in. Oh, this is kind of pointless if I can't open up Google Chrome on my computer. Is that not working? Oh, do you know what? I'll do all this later. This is pointless. Yeah, I'll worry about that later. Yeah, okay. Let's just ready get on with it. What is going on with my computer? Jeez Louise. We all good? We're all back? Yeah, good. Okay. My computer was like freaking out for a second then. Something's going on. No. That's still not working. Anyway, right, let's add a new layer. And then we'll call it trees 2. Now this one I'm not going to use watercolors. I'm just going to... Oh, I haven't got the... I haven't even plugged in my tablet. Is it going to work? Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're back on schedule now. Schedule. Sort of a bit of an unorganised stream. Now, I was gonna... the original plan for today was to actually film another Black Sack episode, but Will had some more important pressing matters that he had to attend to. So, unfortunately, we've had to push that back. But I figured that was actually a good opportunity to do another live stream, because that's the good thing about the wonders of modern technology and live streaming and all that, is that, like, when in doubt, if I want to just make some content for you guys, all I have to do is basically just jump on a live stream. British Tyrannosaur says I'll have to watch the Black Sack after this. Yeah, I won't give anything away. I'll just say it's a whole lot of nothing is all I'll say. My friend Ansel, who should be over tonight actually. Oh wait, let me change that webcam size, because that is, you're seeing a bit of the edge of the green screen there. That'll do. And he's still seeing it. What's going on there? Oh no. It's all forms of because it's really sunny today. And I'm a hermit, so I like to hide inside. That's better. What was I going to say? I can't remember now. Yeah, my friend Ansel, he sent me an image of this hotel that's in... what did he say where it was? It's in South America, in Cloud Forest. It's a luxury hotel and science centre that you can go stay in for £1,750 for 3 nights. I mean, if this does not look like something out of Jurassic, I don't know what does. Oh wait, the green screen. You're not going to be able to see it because of the trees. Let me just turn chroma key off for a second. Okay, chroma key's off. So you should be able to see it. It's like in the middle of the jungle, and that's it at night. It's like a base literally in the middle. It's probably going to be blurry, but it's like right in the middle of the jungle. And so I've been looking at that and thinking, actually, this is what I should do for this, is really encompass trees all around it. Like make it look really, really buried in the trees. Yeah, a lot of the movies we watch for the Black Sack tend to be absolute nothing, like made of nothing. BT says, I was in a hotel in Mexico a couple of years back, which was very much the tiki hut style of Jurassic Park. Wow, Mexico. How long were you in Mexico for? See, because my problem with what I did on the last stream, I think this is all obviously gearing towards the final product, but I felt like these trees I'd added here in this layer were a little bit too uniform, because I'd actually just copied and pasted a lot of them. So I'm gonna use this layer behind here and, you know, really make the jungle look thick. You were there for a month, wow. What was it, holiday? See family? Like, what brought you to Mexico for a month? You got a lot of Crichton books to read there. Nice. Michael Crichton. I was sort of just doing like rough. It's just going to look rough, this stuff, because it's going to be blurred anyway because it's in the background. So I'm not too fussed about like exactly how detailed this all looks. By the way, just to let you guys, or give you guys some context for the latest Black Sack episode, there's a bit at the beginning where we say, don't worry, it's not really a big spoiler, but we say that like it's been 1 day since we watched Extinction, which was the previous episode of Black Sack. That's true. We actually did record that episode a day after we did the Extinction one, but it just took me, because of Dino-Defenders and other projects that I've got going on, it did just take me that long to get around to editing it. So it is a quasi sequel to the Extinction episode. Oh god, wrong one. Again, I need to put my do not touch sign that I just quickly put up, because I keep accidentally touching the wrong keyboard. There we go. It's really funny, like I'll spend all this time on a shot of this show like this, which will be in the episode probably less than 10 seconds. Not even that. But I was watching this behind the scenes video. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the stream already. I may have done. Someone might have to correct me in the chat if I have mentioned this before. But I was watching a behind the scenes video of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and there's a bit where they were talking about the animation in that film, where specifically about this scene where Bob Hoskins and Roger are having a bit of a kerfuffle, and they knock this lampshade, and the lampshade's like swinging, and they said that they had to like hand draw the detail of the light bouncing off of Roger, because he's a 2D animated character, but in sort of a 3D way. So the light was bouncing off Roger in such a way that he kind of looks 3D. And then there's a bit where they talk about that, like, if you want to make animation memorable, or sort of more grounded and believable, or even just anything in life and what you're doing, they call it knocking the lamp. And they said it's like a detail that you don't have to do, because it's not like necessarily adding anything to the plot or anything, but it sells your audience on what you're trying to tell more if you just think of those little details, and or you add something that they don't that isn't necessarily needed. So, like, for example, what I've done to, I don't know, knock the lamp in Dino-Defenders is I will try and create as much sort of detail in each image of this show. So, like, I mean, I don't have to put this in the background, do I? Like, this detail in the background. It could just be like this. But in order to, like, sell the idea of this jungle being deep, I'm gonna add more detail and really flesh it out, because I want to knock the shade. I want to knock the shade in Dino-Defenders in that regard, at least as much as I can in what I think's a good time frame. Yo, Michael Tharmy says, "Hey chaps, sorry for coming in late. Jack, Emma's podcast is really easy listening. I'll definitely be listening to the other episodes." Oh, nice. You've been listening to Pod of Tea, which is my wife's podcast. She's just started doing. I've been a guest on a couple of episodes. It's just tea and chats, where she just takes a cup of tea and a different tea each episode and gives it a quick review, a little rundown of what she thinks of it, and then chats about anything. for about 30 minutes per episode, and she was never really gotten into the world of podcasts or anything, and then she thought she'd just do that as a sort of side project to all the other things she's doing, and she's actually really enjoying it. I wonder, is Chrome still not working on this? No. Oh God, do I have to... I'm wondering if I save this before doing this. Okay, I might have just fixed the... Yeah, I fixed it. I fixed the Chrome problem. Right, we're going to change the music. Actually, I'll change the music once this album's finished. Oh, actually, I can do that thing now. Steve, if you just go on Twitter and look up Pod of Tea podcast or something, you might find it. Michael Tham says, it's the same with my Wildlife on Mars set. Every plant has tones of details and each one a story of its own evolution. But it'll only be on screen for a few seconds, but it'll make the world believable. Exactly. Right, I'm going to see if I can send this music to myself. So I'm always on these live streams. I'm always playing either the Overwatch soundtrack, the Jurassic Park Operation Genesis soundtrack, or the Jurassic Park Rampage Edition soundtrack. And last stream, I did, or one of the streams ago, I did the Polar Express video game soundtrack, and I really liked it. So I found a copy of it, so I'm going to send myself a copy, and then I'll download it onto this computer, and then we can play it in the background. Yeah, no worries, Steve. I'll see you later. Have a good day. Look after yourself, brother. British Tyrannosaurus says, speaking of podcasts, I've been thinking about which Jurassic Park characters would have one for fun. I'm imagining Alan Grant having a podcast, but it's terrible quality and he doesn't understand how to do anything without an assistant. The idea is really bad quality. He's always trying to record a podcast in windy, like in the wind. So it's like really blustering against the mic. Malcolm. I imagine like Malcolm's podcast to be like Jordan Peterson's podcast. Like if you've ever listened to that, when he like has like his lectures on there and stuff. God, I did a rookie mistake. I actually moved the do not touch sign because I was doing the Lemon soundtrack, the Paddock Express soundtrack. It's a really bad habit of mine when I do these live streams. Just reaching over and touching the wrong computer and pressing Control Z on the wrong one. It's because like I'm worried that it will like ruin the chat or something, or like the live stream will just go down because I click undo. Terrible. Just have another look at those jungle pictures. Okay. There's a lot of like individual leaves ones. Actually, I'll continue going this way. Oh, by the way, Michael, if you're still watching, thank you very much for plugging the Patreon. I wasn't expecting that. It was nice to see yesterday. Michael says, oh, by the way, great Black Sack edition, Jack. Masturbating Mold Man and Demon Brum. Whatever will they think of next? I know, right? Spoilers, by the way, for people who haven't watched it. Sorry, BT. I know you haven't seen it yet. Maybe you should go and watch it, British Tyrannosaurus, while I'm doing this, because you'll probably hear some spoilers, like you just have. I just love recording the Black Sack episodes. It's so much fun. Michael says, if I ever find a copy of the zombie movie I worked on a few years ago, I'll send it your way. Sweet, yeah, I'll bung it in the Black Sack and then we can pull it out and have a good laugh. Oh, you did 2 movies. The Estraology Book of the Dead and the Red Kingdom Rising. Nice. Yeah, because I guess talking about zombies, the Black Sack episode that's just come out, like, we honestly thought that was going to be a zombie movie. And that it was a prime example of never judge a book by its cover. How wrong we were. Okay, so let's just have a look. So it's starting to look a little bit more filled. Actually, what I can do is grab that, copy that. I don't know where to stick that. Don't apply. I'm going to make another layer and put it behind the layer I've just been working on. Call that trees free. Trees 2. So trees free, I'm actually going to open up a file called, if I have it, I'll have to open up and see if I can find it. Do I have it? There it is, Jungle Assets. Michael Thumb says, yeah, looking at the cover of With Friends Like These from Black Sack, I thought the same. I was expecting a budget version of the goo zombie from one of the Living Dead movies. Isn't that Tarman or whatever he's called from Return of the Living Dead? Here we go, we've got this layer of trees. I'll take this one. He said it might be. I watched that movie once and didn't look any deeper into the zombie names, just at how good those effects were for its time. Yeah, the Return of the Living Dead effects are amazing. Like, for what they are. They don't take themselves too seriously. For obvious reasons. Okay, so let's add in. Let's change the lighting of this background first. The scene is looking awesome, Jack. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll blend those. And then these trees as well, we'll do the same thing. No, not that. Let me change the music. I want to change the music. Let's go for the old, let's go to Google Drive. I can get the soundtrack we've all been waiting for. a sip of Earl Grey first. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the lighting of the background is basically to just get the depth of the jungle. I'll even do it with some of these. Do you know what, I might actually just cut out the tree on the left, on the right, sorry. Michael Farm says, speaking of Earl Grey, worst thing you can do to a brew is dip your paintbrush in a fresh cup of tea. Why didn't I think of that when I was coming up? I do that all the time when I'm watercolouring. Because I have this like cup. It's got like a weird like sort of Day of the Dead skull on it. This is what I use for water when I'm watercolouring. It's just like it's like a jar mug thing. I think we got it from Asda years ago. But I was like, oh, I like the look of that. That'll be good for painting. And whenever I'm like painting on my desk, I have that next to my tea. And the amount of time I have actually dipped my brush into my tea is ungodly. Ungodly amount of times. There we go, that's looking pretty good. Yo, MT Bill, welcome. He laughs, I'm guessing he's talking about the dipping paintbrushes into the tea. Does it enhance the taste? Well, the thing is, depends on how much paint you've got on the brush, because sometimes I've done that and I've not tasted a single thing on the end of the, I've not tasted a difference. But then there have been times where like I've put it in my mouth and gone, oh, and all I can taste is like paint. It doesn't taste like it's gonna hurt you or anything. It's just a pretty unpleasant taste compared to tea. So what's funny is this whole right hand side of the image is actually I need to stretch this picture out because it's actually bigger than what I need to crop it better. So this is it's actually going to be like this. Yeah, there we go. Just sort out down this bottom. I do not condone trying it. So you might be allergic to paint in your mouth, who knows? Michael Tharm says, can I make a suggestion? The trees nearer the front make slightly darker lower to the ground. The light being blocked by the canopy would make the colours below a little bit more shaded. Yeah, so I haven't obviously done any of the shading yet on this, especially the front part. I'm sort of working my way backwards to forwards because there's actually the animation in this scene. The camera's going to be pushing through foliage, which is all going to be like sort of silhouetted and stuff, and then it's going to like pull through the plant life to reveal this. And there's going to be like where all this is at the bottom. Like you can see, I haven't worked on it at all, but all this is going to be thick jungle as well. There's actually going to be quite a lot of animation in this sequence because it's a sort of establishing shot of this place. So, like like I haven't done any of the shading on these trees yet. This layer. But yeah, no, I do get what you're saying. I'm definitely going to attempt to do that. For the moment, it's just I don't know. It's funny because I've got like several frames for the episode 2 on the go as I speak. Like I was working on one this morning, which is a set in a scene before this one. It's like in terms of like how far through the episode I am with in terms of frames. This one here that I've been painting on live streams a lot. This is where I'm up to. This is like the latest frame. That's good. Just for now. I'm not going to concentrate too much on the foreground stuff. Just spent a little time on it. But I want to fix... I want to fix that. That's jarring. MT Bill Motorsport says, really enjoyed the pilot of Dino-Defenders Extreme, by the way. It has an 80s, 90s game flavour to it I really enjoy. The only downside was the lack of voice acting, but I can live with that. Yeah, I mean, I knew my biggest sort of drawback for the episodes is going to be the lack of voice acting. But let me clarify. I don't know if you might have heard me say this before, but let me clarify a little bit further here. The idea of having voice actors is obviously where I'd like to go with the series once it's all said and done. I'd love to get it fully animated into a full-on feature, but that's obviously, wishful thinking. But the thing is about voice actors is, one, voice actors, because I don't have the budget for voice actors. I also what's one way of putting it? I don't know many voice actors that I could get to fill each character in such a way that I would be satisfied with, if I'm honest. It would need more animation for me to be satisfied with the voice actors. And also I'd be waiting on them. I'd be waiting on them to send me what they've done. They might be busy. Something might crop up. Like when I add more people into the behind the scenes of this series, there'd be a longer wait because I'd be trying to organize more people. Whereas I like the simplistic nature of it at the moment, where it's just myself and the composer basically, and a few other people I get like tips off of and stuff. But it means I'm not like sort of waiting for people to send me stuff, and I'm not like getting angry with people or anything like that because they're not doing it in time. People are busy and all that. But yeah, the idea is if one day I can turn this into a fully animated show or series or whatever based on how successful Dino-Defenders is once it's done in its current form, then yeah, it'd be like fully voice acted, fully animated, everything. And it was a creative decision I made early on. I was like, I could get voice actors, but I know, well, part of me suspected the series would never get done. I wouldn't do it. It'd take ages. Well, not that taking it. Well, I knew it would already take ages as it was, but like getting the voice actors to do it, and would they be good and all that. I just thought, do you know what? I'll save the voice actors for a later date if I ever need them. Yeah, thanks, man. And I was inspired by like silent movies. It's essentially like when you watch those old silent movies from like the 20s, where like you'll see a character like go, and then the text appears on the screen on like a black screen. I was like, imagine if that was the kind of angle I go with this, like a modern day silent movie. And plus, have people read. Michael Tharm says, I'm sure someday the fan base will someday do a fan edit with voices. I mean, if I knew my voice acting would record well, I would certainly do it. Now I'm just trying to think, where I was up to. Let me just... And I like the idea of letting the music be the kind of voice actor in it. And also, like, in all honesty, I thought, like, I hadn't seen anything like that before. I was like, I wonder if I could pull it off. That was another thing, another challenge I was saying to myself. It's like, I wonder if I can pull off something where there's no voice actors. Like, can it be done in an engaging way? And yeah, so the only negatives I've had of people, not like serious negatives, like how you were saying that you do wish there were voice actors, but you do still like it, is the fact that it's the timing of it, like the timing of the music, which actually surprised me because I sent Luke the series as it was, and he composed the music to it. There's only like the music with all the beats and everything, the timing of the beats, that was all in line with the animation, and it was quite amazing that I didn't have to really edit anything to do with the animation to match the music. Like, it was all perfectly timed, which was kind of a miracle in some regards. But yeah, I just thought, like, it'd be cool if it was almost like you're watching a musical, the way it's like sort of got these beats, especially when things like the plane, the helicopter's landing gear hits the pad, like the way the music has that beat to it while it's going along. I thought that would be an interesting challenge, because voice actors, you know, you can time it with voice actors really easily, but I was like, the challenge is, can I do something without them and still make it engaging? And obviously people have said, like, you know, some people have said that looking at the text and the images at the same time is hard the first time round, which I knew was going to happen. But basically, I just thought, you know what, that just gives them an opportunity to watch it again, I guess, if they want to if they want to look at some of the images, or if they want to reread a bit of dialogue because they feel like they missed something. You know, I was like, well, that's just something I'll have to live with in terms of the critiques of Dino-Defenders to get out in this form. But aside from that, like, it's been mainly positive, which has been amazing. It's been really, really delightful to read. Yes, really delightful. MT says, I thought it was inspired by the likes of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Well, yeah, I've seen clips of that, yeah, so it's like coming off of that kind of vein of things, like video games where they have the text boxes come up, you know, and you've got the images on screen during the cutscenes, but they also have the text boxes at the same time. It is that cut from the same cloth as that. And so you're right, like I that wasn't a specific inspiration, but the sort of style of that was, because I'd been looking at cutscenes from like Final Fantasy and all that sort of stuff, and I was thinking, you know what, if they can do it, I should be able to do it with this. And then that would alleviate the worry of voice actors because I wouldn't be worrying about them. Okay, so I'm just sort of fixing some of the lighting issues where the cut-off, just trying to get rid of that sort of obvious line where the lighting shifts. Michael Tharm says it's not like it's a one-time watch that they can't reread or rewatch the episode. As a dyslexic, I struggle reading subtitles on animation, but I know if I can't rewatch it, it's all fine. You can see the passion behind it. Yeah, so, well, that was one of the other things, like, why I like doing these live streams. I'm going to try and do them as often as I can, so people can really see what goes into something like a project like that, because most of the time a lot of projects that people work on, you don't know what it took to make the project until afterwards, and once it's all said and done, and then they reveal how they created it, and one way that's really cool, that's awesome, because you learn all the secrets, you see how it was made, and then you're like, wow, like, oh, so that's how they did that, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas with this, obviously people know it's drawings and it's a cartoon, but I thought, well, with like live streaming and stuff, why not show as much of the creative process as possible and have people join in and chat ideas and talk to me and all that sort of stuff while working on it, and then they can really see what goes into it, and then also at the same time create content that I don't think I've ever seen online before. I don't think I mean, there are other people who do like painting live streams of animations and all that sort of stuff, but I wanted to create something not to the degree that I hope that I'm bringing to this channel. Like, as some of you might know, like with what I do on my YouTube channels, especially with things like the Black Sack and the Jurassic videos I do, I always try and pick out things that I don't think other people have necessarily talked about. So like, no disrespect to those who do, but like, I don't really talk about the toys or anything like that on my channel. One, because I'm not particularly a toy person, but also there are so many people who do talk about the toys that I'll let them do the talking, because they're way more passionate and more informative about it than I am. As much as I am a Jurassic Park fan, and as much as I think Mattel have sort of done amazing stuff, I'll leave it up to them to do it, and then I'll look for things in the franchise that I think's sort of not had much content made about it. Like I did recently I did a commentary over the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World night parade from Universal Studios Japan. Obviously that was a sort of came about because I happened to be on honeymoon in Japan, so I could actually be there to film it. But also, I thought, well, this is perfect. This is a perfect subject to make a video about, because it's like, I haven't seen anyone. I've seen other people do recordings of the video, but like no one from the fan base who knows a lot about Jurassic. I mean, it's not like an in-depth commentary or anything, but like I thought to give a perspective from someone inside the fan base. And I was like, no one's done it, so I'll do it. Why not? And like when I talk about my other subjects, like how crazy can Jurassic Park get, or and that I try my best to do content that I don't think I've seen much anywhere else, because I think that's good. It's more different subjects to cover for people to enjoy. And what the MT says, and what the creators was inspired by and the thought process. I really love to read behind the scenes from Jurassic and other creators. Exactly. Michael Tharm says it's good to cover stuff that everyone else doesn't. Yeah, well, it's also very difficult because so many people do cover stuff in the franchise, not just Jurassic, but just in general, like any subject that I try and talk about, or even doing this live stream of Dino-Defenders. Actually, just to add to that point, even Dino-Defenders itself is something that I was like, how many people out there are making what they want to see in terms of entertainment in this kind of way. Like, you know, I'm subscribed to many different YouTube channels, and you know, a lot of them are like review channels, or they're I don't know, they're like sort of discussion channels, like about current topics and all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, I want to be the kind of channel that someone is subscribed to because they don't know what's coming next. And also, well, they might know what's coming next. I mean, it might have something to do with Jurassic or that. But also, like, Dino-Defenders comes out, and it's like this animation that is tailored to people like myself who like that kind of content, but it has, what am I trying to say? Like, it has actual time put behind it. Like, it's no small manner. Like that was a YouTube video that took me what I'm trying to say is the first episode of Dino-Defenders took me 2 years to make. And so, like, I hope people like the fact that they have a channel out there that there's content that comes out on it. And one content might be it might be like something like I did my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom commentary for Jurassic June, which literally I recorded that morning, and I'd edited and had ready to go by that afternoon. So it took me no time at all really to do that. But then my other video at the beginning of Jurassic June was this animation that took me 2 years to make. So it's that's the kind of thing I hope people really appreciate with the channel, is that they can really get some varying content, and then obviously, again, like I mentioned a minute ago, like then things like the Black Sack, which is completely different, you know, and takes me about a night to edit one of those, takes us a day to film them, but like, again, it's completely different to the other content that I'm throwing up. And so far, like, not to blow my own trumpet too much, but the channel is getting more popular. Like, more people are sort of turning up to these things, and you know, with YouTube analytics, I can actually see how many people are watching my videos and all that sort of stuff. So, like, because it's meant to be like your own little TV station, like your own little TV channel. And so I sit there looking at my ratings going, okay, and I can see what videos are popular and what ones are not, and then judge what I want to do from there. But but I'm not one of those people who will look at their, you know, the popularity of their content and necessarily go, oh, everyone's enjoying this particular type of content or this particular type of video, I must just only make that, because then your channel just becomes a bit redundant after a while. It can lose steam very fast, I think, in that regard, because, you know, then it becomes like you're just churning out the same type of video all day, every day. Whereas like varied content is more long lasting, I found. That's why I like channel creators like Red Letter Media and Cinemassacre, because they both have very varied content that they put out there. MT Motorsport says, yeah, I feel Clayton is really standing out there. It could be a bit many vids of the same subject, but for the most part he's top notch. Well, the thing with Clayton's content is he is so devoted to the history of the Jurassic franchise and all its ins and outs and all the interesting little facts and everything that comes out with that's what keeps his channel fresh is the Jurassic franchise itself, because he's always got something new and interesting to discuss. It's not like, and I obviously know Clayton very well. He doesn't try and find. Well, no, he tries to find like he does the same thing as me. He always looks for something that no one else is talking about and wants to shine a light on it. Especially like, you know, things like Project Evolution, which he was talking about the other day. That's like, who was talking about that? It had human dinosaur hybrids in it. It was like, and it was an officially released thing, and it's really really interesting, and that's what keeps his channel completely fresh for the fans, because you never know what subject he's going to talk about next or what's going to be revealed from the franchise. And the only way I think Clayton's channel would actually lose traction is if the franchise itself ran out of things to talk about, which isn't happening anytime soon by any stretch of the imagination, because obviously there's new content coming out, there's always new ideas being thrown out there, and that's what keeps his sort of thing going. You were waiting for my Fallen Kingdom commentary for a year, my word. Sorry about the wait. I wanted to wait till Jurassic June next year. It was my sort of plan from the beginning. He says, yes, rental reviews are great. It really takes you back. Rental reviews, just so you know, a little funny fact. Tony from Rental Reviews, he actually is subscribed to the Pterodome. I don't know if he's watched any of the content, though. I'd be interested to see what he thinks of the Black Sack episodes, but I know he's subscribed with his own private channel to this one. Okay, so let's continue doing some of the trees. Yo, Carlos. So let's grab. Grab these little trees here. No, doesn't look good. So I'm starting to notice actually one of the things that with this that is actually throwing me off is actually some of the colour of these trees here. I'm thinking this is too green, like it's almost in your face green. I'm going to try and match it to maybe one of the background trees. That's better. I don't know if I already said hello, Carlos, but hello, Carlos. And then same again for this one over here. I think these are on the same layer. Oh god, messed that up. Let me Let me cut this out more precisely. Went a bit crazy with that outline there. Okay. MT says, if I may ask one Jurassic lore question, what is your theory, canon or non-canon, on Jurassic Park 3's raptors? Is it a different breed made in 1999, or just pre 4.4 raptors who got loose? I'm gonna say this: I can't really talk about those. Not for any specific reason, just because I can't talk about them. Simple as that. I'm sorry, but there's no specific reason. But I'll have to explain that in the future. Yo, Cretaceous the Hunted. Okay, so that... Jack, what is your favourite T-Rex from the Jurassic Park franchise? Mine is Rexy from the first Jurassic Park. In terms of what they do on screen, obviously I'll say Rexy or Roberta, or the Tyrannosaur as I like to call her. The Tyrannosaur from Jurassic Park, Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom. But if we're going to go with like design and one I've always just had a sort of affinity for, I'm going to say the female T-Rex from The Lost World. She's I always found her to be kind of cool. I like the sort of updated colour pattern that they gave that T-Rex from the female that we saw in the first film. But no, it has to be the one from the original. She's the definitive T-Rex, really, isn't she? No, MT. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. It's just, you know, I don't want to say something now and then we have the opportunity to do something in the future, and I'm like, oh damn, I've given that away already. I'm just not going to talk about it. I'm sorry. Yeah, the bull T-Rex from the Lost World is cool. Cretaceous. Okay, so I just did a little effect you can see here. It adds kind of darkness under the canopy and mist. Like a slight mist is in between the trees. You can really see where, like down here... Oh, God, wrong way. Wrong way. Excuse me. Down here you can see like how it really darkens the path. Yo Hawkins family, James Hawkins. Is that James? And the rest of the family? So now if I'm going to actually blend all of the tree layers except that one. So now we've got those. If I remove all the layers, we've got this tree layer here. Let's go backwards. So we've got this layer here, which looks, well, look at that. Then you got this layer here. Now the trees, and then the base. So we go the opposite way. So we've got the base, the trees, the mountain, the other mountains, and then the background. But actually, let me open up the original. No, that's not it. Is it this one? Yeah. So this is what I did on the first live stream of the Megaraptor paddock, and we'll be able to see the difference. There you go. So it goes from this to this, which is pretty neat. I've got the original here. The green screen's gonna be all funny. Let me just see if I can. Yeah, so we take the green screen off. So we've got the original watercolor here. It's the one I did on the first live stream with the Megaraptor paddock. Really basic one. And then where are we looking? Yeah, so then I went from that to that. The power of computer editing, hey? But still retaining that kind of watercolor look to it as well. That's the thing. What's the objective, says James Hawkins? Fine-tuning. Well, yeah, it's and adding detail. So it's going from what I've just shown you here, where it looks like... I mean, look at that. It looks like garbage. Oop. To this gloriousness, to get it to look more realistic. So anyway, now I've edited the trees here. I did want to add another layer. We're going to call this one trees again. We'll call this one trees 2 now. And this one's actually going to be on top of this because I actually want to do some sneaky sneaks. So this is actually on. Actually, do you know what? I can put that below this. So it's just to get this one. Actually, I'll put 2 in. And then I'll put that on top. take the opacity down so we can see through it. Reminds you of a boat. Yeah, it does. It has a kind of nautical look to it. James Hawkins says, is the Megaraptor idea based off the one in Trespasser, the boss raptor? No, actually, the Megaraptor is a real species of dinosaur. It has a really ridiculous name. That's why I wanted to put it in this series. I also have the Megalosauruses in this series as well. There's 2 dinosaurs with Mega in the title, just because I thought that'd be kind of a sort of a funny thing to do. Is have two dinosaurs with Mega in their name. But yeah, Megaraptor's a real dinosaur. It's like a giant raptor, but it doesn't have sickle claws. It just has kind of like the ordinary feet. Yeah, Megalodon would be the other thing. The thing is, the Megaraptor's in. If I just like an early drawing I did of the Megalosaurus is over this way to the right. It's yeah, this image here. That's a very, very rough early concept drawing I did of the Megalosaurus, which obviously you can see is heavily inspired by sort of the chaos effect. And then the Megaraptor, an early sort of design of the Megaraptor is here. This orange and blue guy here. So but there's still a few species I haven't revealed yet publicly. So now what I'm going to do is blend this with this leaf, so it looks like the tree is growing behind this paddock and growing over it. Megasaurus. MT says, I like the extreme colouring. The original designs of the cars, etc. from Jurassic Park were based on the rave scene and underground patterns. It's just fitting. Yeah, I have a couple of vehicles in this series that I think if you like that, you'll like the colours I'm putting on those vehicles. One of the vehicles, I shouldn't really call it a vehicle because it's not really a vehicle, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's one of the big things that I haven't alluded to at all really in the show at all. I've just kind of been quiet about it. But it's really funny because the series, I'm really excited to get to. I mean, it's obvious to say, but I'm really excited to get to the moment where the sort of the shit hits the fan, as they say, because as soon as things go down in this series, like it really starts to go wrong, it's action all the way. So like, there's a lot of build up in episodes 1 and 2. But once everything starts to go wrong, it goes wrong, and like it's just going to be episodes 4, 5, and 6. I'm actually anticipating doing the animation for those because it's going to require a lot of a lot of learning from myself to get that to be as exciting and as engaging as I'm hoping it will be. And one thing I think you guys hopefully will be able to get if you watch the series, or especially in sort of episode 2, I'm trying to create a good sense of geography with this actual base. So there's like you see a map in episode 2 that kind of lays out where everything is. And so hopefully, like, you guys will know, like, where when a character is at a certain place, you'll know, like, sort of where they are in sort of relation to everyone else. If you look for it, it's not like a I'll say this: it's not like a character pulls out a map and lays it out in front of you. It's in the background. It's like a little subtle thing, but if you study the map, you should be able to work out things. That's another thing that's inspired by Jurassic Park. It's like the park brochures and the maps. No one ever sort of outrightly. I guess aside from Jurassic World, I guess they had the big park map in the middle of the screen, but like a lot of the stuff in terms of geography of everything was in the background, and sort of I'm sticking to that kind of tradition. Devil is in the details. You're right, MT. That's exactly it. Okay, let's get a different colour and then just honestly, is it 3 o'clock already? My God. Days just go too quick. There you go. So like the tree is coming over the top of this sort of amphitheater. I might actually just use the dodge tool. There we go. Let me save this before I lose it. Oh, I'm just going to fix this top corner as well. I like the look of this mist in the tree. That's coming out nicely. Actually, in the jungle assets, I should have. No, I don't have it in this one. Oh, I thought I had like a vine. MT says, dodge tool. We got a dodge tool here. See, nobody cares. Nice hat. What, you trying to look like a secret agent? Yeah, it's called here like a dodge tool, which brightens things. So you can, if let's say I go to this base, yeah, and go on it. You can select the layer. You can brighten it like this, and your exposure's up the top here. So like if you put that up, it's stronger. And up here there's the menu for mid-tone, so it's brightening all the mid-tones. But if I go to shadows at the top, it will brighten parts that are shadows. So like darker parts like this, it will lighten. And the lighter parts, like if I go over that, it doesn't lighten them as much. So it'll only lighten the shadows. And then if you go to highlights, obviously it will brighten it'll really brighten all the like light stuff. And then if I go over the shadow part, like sort of this gate, it doesn't do anything. It's a really useful tool. I keep it on mid-tones for the most part because it does everything. And then obviously in the brush thing, you've got your how hard is the brush, so I can do it like this so it looks like it's really hard, or go, you know, all the way down here to soft where it looks like it's, you know, soft. It has soft edges. And then the size of the brush obviously is how big is your brush. There you go. There's a little lesson on the dodge tool. But I don't know why they call it the dodge tool. I think they should call it the brighten tool because that's what it does. And you're wrong. I care. I care about the dodge tool. James says I like it bright. Yeah, I haven't really edited much of the actual base yet. I will get round to doing all the detail. I mean, this gate looks horrible. I've got to go in and do the gate and add all the details. More details in. The Lewis tool. Actually, speaking of that, let me just quickly do this. This is what's gonna add the. If I do that and then change the lighting, add a shadow of the tree. Use the burn tool this time. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, I was up here. I'm gonna go for this one. I'm just going to add like all these sort of vine thingies coming down. And then go in and with a brighter colour green. Oh, I'm going to retweet what Michael tweeted out. I just saw that. Yeah, get a lighter green. Actually, do you know what? I'll mix it up. I'm going to go for a blue. Let's just do a random colour for these leaves. Just see how it looks. Why not? Like a sort of teal. We'll get these vines all like this. I will go around with a darker colour and highlight the leaves a little bit more by outlining them a little bit. But it should be all good. Do you know what? My tea has gone cold, I think. A little bit. I will sacrifice my enjoyment of this tea by drinking the cold tea as punishment for letting it go cold. And then I might make a new one and then continue on with this. might actually just darken this blue a little bit, because these vines are now, shall I do this side again? They're sort of coming into the shade of another tree. So I'll just do it like that, yeah. Just see how that looks from a distance. See that? I'm going in and doing all that detail, and it's like hidden all the way up here, like it's like barely noticeable. But again, it's knocking the shade, as we were talking about earlier. Adding detail that doesn't necessarily need to be there, other than to sell the visuals even more. Don't know if you guys want to see something that also inspires me while I paint, that's like right in front of me behind the camera. Let me know in the chat if you want to see what that is. What could that possibly be? What could it possibly be, says Zoo. In the words of Hammond, I'll show you. But I'll need to turn the green screen off. Blame. Oh God, oh God, everything's going wrong. It's not this, even though, well, this is kind of, this is there, the Thrasher T-Rex is on my desk. It is, so I've got the Cyclops Raptor in the box still. And this has come from the guy who says he's not into the toys and stuff, but this is like one of the only ones I've got boxed. But the reason, like my nephew, he always wants me to open this, so maybe one day. But I have the back facing me, because on the back of the box you've got all the Lost World figures. Let me see if I can make this bigger and focus it. Maybe. I made it worse. There you go. So on the back of the box you've got all the, like, it's got the Bull T-Rex, the Thrasher T-Rex, you've got this like High Hide with Nick Van Owen, you've got all the, basically the entire Lost World toy line. The Peter Ludlow, Sarah Harding, Ronan Tembo on a bike, Carter. And so, like, looking at this sitting there at the back, I mean, is RJ's not on here, is he? No, RJ's not on here. And some of the other figures, like Malcolm, like all the other ordinary figures. It's not I tell a lie, it's not the entire Lost World toy line. But like that, looking at this, like especially like colours of like the Spinosaurus, and seeing things like the high hide and all that, like it's really inspiring to like see this and then be painting something like Dino-Defenders like behind. It's like that's what keeps the old inspiration a ticking. And the sunlight is again, it's coming through. How? Let me just see if I can fix that. 1 second. That's better. Okay, hopefully that worked. And you guys saw that. But yeah, so I've got that like over. No, wrong way. Aha. Yeah, so I've got that like behind the camera, so I can see that, and it's sort of inspiring. It's the colours of the toy line and stuff that I'm really taken by, like the way they coloured the early dinosaurs in the Kenner line. There's just something about it that really captures my imagination, the childlike sense of adventure, and you know, like even the Dimetrodon that is there in the live stream. Like when I'm coming to colour the dinosaurs and everything, I'm really thinking like, how could I make this feel like an extension of that toy line come to life, and really make it feel like it's part of the same kind of thing. Photoshop has improved so much in later years. Says MT. Yeah, it has. Like, you can do anything on this. It's crazy. Okay, we're almost done with the vines in the corner. And I've nearly been streaming for 2 hours, which is nice. I'm going to keep going though. There's no need to stop just yet. Okay, so let me save that again. So we've got some vines up in the corner to sort of conceal that area. I'm actually going to... Actually, does it look better? Don't know. Let me have a look. Let me see what I can do here. I'm just going to see if it looks better if you can't see the sky in this section. Oh, wrong layer. This layer. So if it kind of looks like the forest. It kind of looks like the forest just continues up. Let me see if I can darken that as well. I don't know, does that look good? Yeah, no, I think I kind of preferred it where you can see the sky, because it like shows that the forest continues on in such a way. I'm also going to fix... Oh my word, jumped too far. It's doing that because if you like get the magnifying tool and create a box like this, it will zoom in to what you create. And if I'm clicking with this, with the stylus, sometimes I click too fast and it creates like a tiny little box really quickly, and that's what it like quickly zooms in on. So it's like, it's so sensitive. It's like, it's too efficient in that regard. Just wanted to sort this tree out because it looked a bit stands out from the rest a little bit. Especially here because of the change the shape of it a little bit. British Ransom says, this movie you like is bad. Find out how my 4-part video series, each episode is 5 hours long. As we know, and as we know, the longer your analysis is, the more objectively correct you are. What's that in regards to? That's funny. A little joke about film criticism on YouTube. Yeah. Thing is, some criticisms that are really long can be really good and funny. I mean, like I really like the Mr. Plinkett Star Wars reviews, and I think like they kind of pioneered that kind of long form analysis. But then I think some people took it a little bit too seriously. And the whole joke with those Mr. Plinkett reviews is, yeah, the films they're talking about, they do think are really bad, but they don't take themselves seriously at the same time. And that's the key. Yeah, okay, that looks much... there's still... I think there's still some... Do you know what? No, actually, it just needs a bit of burn. There we go. thing with film criticisms, though, is I was actually talking about this the other night with Michael on the Missing Compies podcast, which I don't know when that episode's dropping, but we recorded an episode for that. And the thing is, it's always about like what it all comes down to is people saying what they think they should have done as opposed to what they have done. Or like, well, in one way of putting it, they might not like something they have done, so they say that this is what they should have done, which is what they think would be better. But the thing is, and we were discussing this, that's fair, that's all fair and good, you know, we all do that. But the thing is, no one ever applies that to the movies that they really, really like. Or at least if they do, like I do, they don't say it in a negative way. So like there's movies that I absolutely adore, but there's lots of things in those movies that I adore that I think they should have done, that I think could have made it even better. But they're movies that I already consider to be classics or whatever. But if you say that like about a classic movie, you say, oh, I think they should have done this, no one really cares because it's already a classic. Whereas if it's a film which has faults in some people's eyes, if you say, oh, they should have done this, that's when it's like, yeah, they should have done that. And it's like, well, that's no more credible of what they should have done really than the positive film, really. I mean, one could argue that you know, well, it works better in negative reviews to say what they should have done because the film is garbage in their eyes already or whatever. But I don't know, it's always down to that like kind of should they have done this or shouldn't they? And I find that they done what they did, if that's one way of putting it. It's a really hard like film criticism is a very hard thing to sort of wrap your head around completely, because it can be a very subjective thing, and who's right, and really what's the end goal? Like everyone says, well, we should point out the problems in films because that way, you know, the filmmakers will learn not to make the same mistakes again. But show me a time in history when they actually do listen. Because it's like, for example, like let's take Force Awakens for one example. The prequels come out and the studio listens to the fans who say they should be using more practical effects over CGI. But it doesn't mean the film is good. Same for Last Jedi. It's like, on one hand, they can listen to the fans in some regard, or they can listen to the audience's feedback. What am I doing here with my sidebars? Jesus Christ. Close tab group. But it's not like just because they listen to one thing that they get everything right. British Transfer says, yeah, I don't like Red Letter Media, but the Plinkett reviews are comedic. The problem is they have set the stage for other reviews and how people look at filmmaking to this day. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, like, I love Red Letter Media. I think they're hilarious. The thing is, they, like, there's a lot of reviews they have of movies that I really like that I just don't agree with them at all on. Things like Godzilla 2014 is a great example. I don't even think I made it through their review of that because I was like, nah, I just don't like. I'm not agreeing with them to the point where I'm like, yeah, this isn't even like a fun review to watch anymore. But then again, that was when I first saw it, sorry. But I've since gone back and watched it and listened to it, and I've gone like, yeah, it's like, well, that's just their opinion. But it's still, then I'll watch a film, like a film review they do of something else, and I find it hilarious. And even then, I still find the film that what they're talking about, you know, to be a film that I like. It's one of these things where, like, can you listen to criticisms of something you like with an understanding that there'll be films that they like and you like. Like, it's a really funny thing. Like, people seem to think that once you have an opinion on one movie, or, you know, that's it. That's like, you'll never be able to agree on anything, or you don't want to listen to anything that they have to say about any other movie or anything like that. That's when it becomes a problem, in terms of, you know, discourse about film opinions. When it comes to franchises, people already have the idea of how a film is going to go beat by beat. They spoil themselves and then make videos and tweets on how the story will go. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people out there who you watch all the trailers and then complain that, you know, they've seen the whole film, and it's like, it's not good. I will agree. Like, the trailers should be more, especially in this day and age with big franchises. Like, who's not going to go see like a huge, massive film? They don't have to spoil the whole films in the trailers, but the thing is, a lot of the people, especially the YouTube community of film reviewers, they forget about how many people are in the world and how many different people from different cultures they're trying to market these films to. And, you know, it's not just one group of people they're marketing the film to anymore. It's like a global thing because of the way Hollywood's gone. And some audiences, just frankly, they just don't care that they've seen that in the trailer. I can't remember who I was having this conversation with the other day, or recently, sorry. I was saying that I did an experiment where, like, I didn't watch any of the trailers for Godzilla 2014. I went and saw that film. I came out and I absolutely loved it to bits. I didn't watch any of the trailers for Alien Covenant. Came out of that movie, loved it. I watched nearly all the trailers for Prometheus, came out and I loved it. I didn't watch any of the trailers for The Predator or Pacific Rim Uprising, disappointed with both those movies. So I've tried this experiment with myself over the last 2 years, or a few years, sorry, to kind of try and gauge whether watching the trailers religiously in excitement or staying away from them has had any effect on the way I view these movies in the cinema. And really, it seems quite obvious to say, but it comes down to, like, the movie. It's like, it actually doesn't matter how much you get exposed to the story, whether it shapes your actual enjoyment, you know. Well, at least that's what I've discovered since I did the experiment. And so I've come to this point now where I tend, like, when it comes to trailers, I tend to, like, I mean, this doesn't apply to Jurassic because I'm just, like, all over Jurassic, obviously, so I know what's coming and all that. So it's like, it's a different kettle of fish for me in that regard. But my stance on trailers and the way, like, they work now, if I fancy watching a trailer, I'll just watch it. If I don't fancy watching it, I don't fancy watching it. It's like, I don't actually expect anything from the film anymore based on how many times I've viewed the trailer or whatnot. So, you know, like this new Jumanji film, they released the trailer the other day for the third Jumanji movie. I've watched that trailer twice. I watched it myself and then I showed my wife, and I think it looks like fun, and I'll go see it, I think, because I went and saw the last one. I really enjoyed that. But I don't know if I'm inclined to watch the trailer anymore. Like, I'm not really, like, I'll judge it by a case-by-case basis. I feel like so many people put so much weight on trailers now, and they'll complain about them all day, which I can understand. Like I said, like, I can understand, especially when it came to things like Fallen Kingdom, and and that, like where they were like showing the literal last shot of the film in the trailer. That's not good. I'm not gonna lie there. That can definitely be critiqued for obvious reasons. But at the same time, I found that like trailers don't tend to ruin the enjoyment of the film for people either way. Like you either really like the film or you don't, and that actually has nothing to do with the trailers, I found. Says my 2 cents on that. Sorry, it was a bit of a rant. But just going back to what you said, British Tyrannosaur, about people making huge essays about films they don't like. The thing is, I found it quite funny that the like some folks will hate a movie with such a passion that it's like that's the only thing they can talk about anymore. And it's like, yo, Clayton. Yeah, so like I find it fascinating that there are some people out there who they will hate a movie with such a passion that that's all they talk about anymore. Like they just can't get off the bandwagon of it. Like they just like for their own mental health, not anyone else's really. It's just like that just becomes the be all and end all of their conversations. And like from all walks of life, I've seen people do that. All different movie franchises, like franchises I love. I've seen it all happen everywhere. The Alien franchise, the Predator franchise, Godzilla, Jurassic, like Kong, oh my word. Especially in the superhero films as well. Like my God, like I've seen people, they won't like a movie, but that's all they'll talk about. And in some regards, which is my favourite saying this stream apparently, like there's some just reasons for people doing that. I get why sometimes, but at some point it's like, man, you need to let it go because the film's not going anywhere, and like you've made your points 50 times and they're the same like 6 points that you said repeatedly over and over again, and like we get it, like we understand you weren't happy with it. Okay, all right, fair enough. And it's like that's what I find funny. British Tyrannosaur says, I need to figure out for Jurassic World 3 how not to get sucked into the here's what's going to happen culture. I did that for Jurassic World and it didn't ruin the experience, but the twists were all predicted. I would say just avoid everything then. Go off the grid for a while maybe. It's funny that you're here, Clayton, because we were just talking about you like a few seconds ago. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit. Actually, before I do this, I'm going to make a fresh cup of tea and then I'm going to come back. Don't worry, Clayton, it wasn't anything bad. I was saying how your content on your channel remains so fresh because because of the franchise itself keeps being fresh. Like you keep finding, like the way you keep your channel fresh is by finding subjects that no one else is really shining a light on, and you'll shine a light on it, and that's what keeps it going. And that I don't think that will end anytime soon because there's always something in the franchise that comes to the surface that no one really thinks about anymore, or there's an idea that comes up that you shine a light on and it's really fascinating. That's all I was saying, Clayton. You don't have to worry. Yeah, 2 seconds. I'm just going to make a fresh tea and then I'll be back. Bonjour, I'm back, yes. No worries, Clayton. British Translator. Spoilers from trailers, etc. I don't mind. Bit weird that we call them spoilers given they are given by Universal. It's when the analysis culture steps in that it gets out of hand. Well, yeah, it's like they're not technically spoilers if the studio does hand them out willingly. But the problem is, it does, when they say spoil, it spoils the experience to a certain extent, because you're anticipating when in the story something that you've seen in the trailer might take place. And when you've seen like a really, really, let's say, iconic image, like a T-Rex roaring at a lion, or a Mosasaurus swimming in the ocean to attack surfers, which is a pretty, eye-opening kind of visual, and it doesn't happen for the majority of the movie until right at the end, it kind of, you're like, oh well, that's that moment in the trailer spoil the sort of pacing of the movie. I do get when people say that, and that's why I think the Fallen Kingdom trailers, they really did drop the ball on it. But that said, I know people who have watched the trailers for Fallen Kingdom religiously, and they still really like the movie anyway. So it's like, it's hard to gauge like how damaging they really were. Clayton, a lot of people, including Spielberg and Lucas, think that the film industry is about to die. Going to watch the theatrical film that's been made for hundreds of millions of dollars is becoming unpopular. I don't know about that. I mean, it's becoming more. How do I put this? It's becoming more. I guess one way of putting it is becoming more like big tech companies. In like, there's only a certain number of massive franchises that control the market. That's the way it appears to be going. I mean, like, Marvel isn't gonna probably end anytime soon, and Jurassic World 3's on its way, and Star Wars Episode 9's out this Christmas. I'd be very surprised if those slow down anytime soon. They will, though, eventually. I mean, Jurassic, it's the last movie or whatever, but I'd be very surprised if they do come to a halt. I might have a little bit of a contention there with Spielberg and Lucas. I think because they grew up in a time where cinema was this huge, was like one of the major. There was no internet, is what I'm saying. So it was like the major form of entertainment. Think of like Spielberg films and stuff in the 80s. Like, they were dominating. That's what lots of people talked about, in terms of entertainment, at least. And then you get to today, and yes, people talk about movies a lot, like the Avengers movies and all that, and they become memes online. The majority of the discussion happens on the internet, and I have this feeling that Spielberg and Lucas, they don't spend that much time on the internet, really, or at least I don't think they do. So I don't think they quite understand that the film industry is alive and well. It's just being talked about mainly online. Jurassic Rim says they spoiled the whole baryonic scene, which was disappointing, but it's still one of my favourite movies of all time. Yo, Jurassic Rim, welcome. Good to see you here. Yes, and I agree. Clayton says there are some public speeches where people explain that new streaming services, higher budget prices, a huge influx of internet film criticism, and the competitive nature of these film movies is rough. It is rough, yeah. I'm not going to disagree there. See, I'm hoping that the future is kind of... Wait a second, we've got a layer. I'm so confused by this. Wait, the layer. No, well, no, whatever. Jurassic Grim says, how did you choose the creatures for Dino-Defenders? Let me save this. Two ways of picking. I thought, what hasn't really had focus on it in sort of other franchises? And I also thought, what do I think's cool? What would I like to see in this series? And one of the sort of, there's a couple of creatures in this series, including like the Dimetrodon, where I wanted to have those in this series because I had a personal sort of relationship to those when I was growing up. Like I had this old Dimetrodon toy. I had this old dinosaur, or this Dimetrodon toy. Sorry, I shouldn't say dinosaur because it's not a dinosaur. And what I used to, it was like a rubber one, and I used to play with it alongside my Jurassic toys when I was a kid. And what I used to do is I'd get cocktail sticks, and I would have the characters. I'd watch like an old Ray Harryhausen movie or an old dinosaur movie where the cavemen have got spears and they're throwing them in the side. And this rubber Dimetrodon, I used to pierce cocktail sticks into the side of it, like imagining people were throwing spears at it, and like in sort of that old way. So, you know, not to give away too much of what might happen in Dino-Defenders, but there might be something similar like that happen in this series based on how I used to play as a kid and what I thought was cool, or I used to think was like kind of neat to play with. So a lot of the dinosaurs and creatures in this series I picked because I was like, actually, I want to bring to life like more of what I used to do when I was little. And I hope that people find that entertaining. Jurassic Grim says, I haven't heard of Megaraptor since an episode of Dino King. Yeah, I chose the Megaraptor because I thought it's got a cool name. We actually discussed this earlier on in the stream, that there's two animals in this series with Mega in their name. The Megalosaurus and the Megaraptor. Clayton says, I think with most releases coming back to back and underperforming isn't very good. They also explain that this is why we aren't getting many normal small-scale movies. Everything is big. Yes. If you want to talk about the sort of the death of, like, quote-unquote normal movies, yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I don't think big franchises are going anywhere anytime soon. But, like, myself and Emma, my wife, the other night we watched this film. I'd never seen it before, and she had. But she said it's quite a sweet movie and we should watch it. And it's called The Lake House. It's got like Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves in it. I'd never seen it. And while watching it, I actually turned to Emma and I said, do they make movies like this anymore? Like this feels like it's like something that it felt odd to watch a movie like that. You know, it's not a rom-com. It's kind of a drama, but it's also got a magical element to it because it's got like this magical letterbox or whatever in it. And I was like, this it's a very sweet movie, and obviously it's got two huge actors in it. I was like, do they make movies like this anymore? Like that come out of the cinema? And I mean, admittedly, I haven't looked at like the 2019 list of movies. Do you know what? Maybe we should do that now and have a look. Oh, I've never heard of it, says Clayton. The Lake House, let me put it this way. A guy moves into a lake house. He finds a letter in the mailbox that says, look out for the paw print. Sorry about the paw prints on the porch. they were there before I moved in. And he's like, he looks at the porch and there's no paw prints. And then a few hours later, a dog runs, he's painting something and the dog runs in the paint or whatever and runs across the porch and leaves the paw prints. And then he's like, hang on a second. How did this letter know that that was going to happen? And then you realise that they're 2 years apart. They never explain it, like how it happens, but like these two characters, well, they might do, there's a subtle nod. But these two characters are communicating through this letterbox at this lake house, but they're 2 years apart. One lives in 2006 and one lives in 2004. It's it was a sweet movie. Like it's a love story, so you know, it's romantic and that. But I, as some people might know, I have a soft spot for those kind of movies. Yeah, one, like, for lack of a better term, kind of traditional love stories. I'll say this though, there's like a really funny moment in that movie where Keanu Reeves sneezes. I was cracking up. Do you know what, this kind of just looks a bit weird because it's like not flat. Jurassic Room says, everything nowadays has to please critics, which is unfortunate because most critics don't care about films and beat them down for idiotic reasons. So we kind of regular popcorn flicks. We have huge blockbusters. By the way, I've also seen The Lake House. Yeah, there's this weird sort of relationship between critics and movies. There always has been, but since the sort of the internet, the internet has kind of changed a lot of things like that. I'm gonna actually grab this. Jurassic Room says, by the way, I'm about to see Spider-Man Far From Home in 2 hours. Clayton's watching Ash vs. Evil Dead, and British Tyrannosaur is watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Why are you not watching me? No, I'm kidding. Godzilla King of the Monsters has too many monsters and not enough character development. Bruh. Yeah, I don't really get that. I didn't particularly care too much for the humans in the film, but I don't care. Not to say like a film, like I'm not saying I'm settling for something less, but the thing is the human characters were okay, like they weren't that bad. There was a couple of moments that I didn't like, that I was like, oh, that sucks, but thing is, I don't listen to film critics whatsoever. I used to buy Empire magazine and I'd read their reviews and stuff. Like, I can't even remember the last time I actually read a review. And that all happened, that all came about. I can tell you when that came about actually. That was in 2012 to 2013 was when I completely lost interest. Mainly because I was reading reviews for Prometheus and Pacific Rim. And I was like, yeah, these critics, they're okay with, they're fine to have their opinions and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's okay. They don't have to like it. But I really, really like those movies. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to read this anymore. Like, I'm reading things that I'm like, it's like we watch two different movies, or like I have a mindset when it comes to movies that I know is very specific to myself. And I'm not saying like all the movies I watch are perfect, because that's not true at all. But like, and I always bring this example up, I absolutely love The Land That Time Forgot, which is from 1975, which is, some would say, an objectively bad movie. But I love it. There's something about it that I just think is really, like, really good. And and like, it is a bad movie. Like, it is technically a bad movie by all counts. But I don't know. And the fact that I really like that, I was like, yeah, that's my, that's the way I work. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to listen to what they have to say. Like, I don't put film critics' opinions above anyone else's. I put them all on the same level. British Tyrannosaur says, I actually am the opposite camp. I like decent human stories. It just so happens that I also love monster action. So you can switch them to have a majority of either. But saying Godzilla having a bad human plot or characters is the point. It's ridiculous. Yeah, like, no one's saying that the point is to have bad human characters. But the standards that for some reason people tend to hold the human characters in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they don't apply to other movies. Like, the characters in Godzilla King of the Monsters are no worse, bad. They're no different to something you'd get in a Marvel movie or I guess like a Jurassic film in some regard. It's just, the thing is, with the Godzilla films, they have this weird balance where they have to try and balance a human story on top of this story that's about these creatures that are just too big. Like I said this in my review, like the stories of the Godzilla films are, these creatures, they're just too big, and the humans never know what to do with them. And because they're so big, it's nearly always a global story. And they're trotting around the globe and it's like, how do you write an engaging story with human characters like that? You can't have everyday Joes for the most part, because they're not going to travel the world. It's very difficult to, like, why would they be involved in government matters? And then you have the problem of, well, they're going to have to be like involved with the government if they're going to be following these creatures as they fight. And it's very hard for people to actually relate to people in the army or people in government positions, because the majority of the audiences, they don't hold those jobs. That's why Godzilla 2014 got a lot of flack, because it followed someone from the army who, has been trained to deal with really hideous situations, I'm guessing, because he's in the army. And a lot of those people, they're not going to have like the bubbly character of Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. They're just not. And the whole point of Godzilla 2014 was to be realistic, and so they're going to make the character of Ford Brody, or whatever his name was, be more cold-hearted and realistic. And some people said that was a negative. I, on the other hand, I thought that was actually fine. That was good. That made me believe in his character more, the way he was acting. But they weren't trying to make like a bad movie. But then in this new film, because you're dealing with things like King Ghidorah, Mothra and Rodan, and you're following this group of scientists go around and follow these creatures around the world, you've got these scientists, you're dealing with characters who can make technology that doesn't exist. And again, for audiences to actually relate to them, they try and add in this human drama of the family, and it kind of just falls a bit flat. but it's not like it's not like they designed it to fall flat. It just so happens that I don't think people can relate to them because no one has a family like that. Had they actually just been had the whole movie been set in one city, and you follow one family in the throughout the entire events, maybe that would work. Kind of like Tom Cruise in War of the Worlds. You know how like in Spielberg's War of the Worlds, I don't know if people noticed this, but like there's only like 2 shots in or 3 if you include the closing shot, or if we don't include the opening monologue and the end shot, the camera never leaves Tom Cruise's side, but he's just like an ordinary he's like an ordinary dad, you know, going through ordinary troubles. He's no like superhero. He's not working in the government. He just works on the docks, and he's very, very, very relatable in that regard to a lot of the people watching, because he's just an average Joe. Like he's a nobody, and the reason he gets caught up in all the action is because we follow him and his little story. It's not like he joins up with the government and then goes sits with the president and is like, and the president's like, what do we have to do? Like, what are we gonna do here about these aliens? Like, they never do that. Like, the closest he gets to that is his son wants to go like do that, and he's telling him no, that's a stupid daft idea because you'll get yourself killed, which is again a very relatable point, but for some reason was what everyone complained about, was the character Robbie wanting to go do that. He kind of represented people who wanted to go see and get back at them, and he was also an allegory for, is allegory the right word? I'll say he was a sort of symbol of people who wanted to go fight, you know, the people who'd caused 9/11. But what I'm trying to say is with these big monster movies, it's very, very difficult to balance the human story because you're dealing with something on a huge scale. And how do you balance that? And things like Jurassic and Alien and other monster movies, they can get away with having these different characters who feel more relatable, mainly because they're in more of an isolated situation. And, you know, characters like Malcolm, he's a scientist, sure, but he's a math chaotician, right? So he might not act and talk like the average Joe, but he's no like special government person. It's a really fine line to like kind of balance, and I just find it fascinating. Clayton says, does anyone else think a lot of King of the Monsters felt a bit like copy and paste from the plot points of Fallen Kingdom? Yes, definitely. Definitely. Especially, yeah, like as you said with the news report and stuff at the beginning. Clayton says, I don't think they plagiarized or anything, but it's very similar. No idea how. It reminded me of like the end of Alien 3 and the end of Terminator 2 coming out like a year apart and then being very, very similar to each other. Or like one could say the end of The Lost World with the T-Rex running through San Diego and the raptors in the long grass with their tails going up like this. And then in Godzilla 1998, the baby Godzilla's hunting people in the Madison Square Garden, and when they eat people, you see their tails come up into the camera and do this a very similar thing. It seems to be like a pattern between these sort of franchises. British Tyrannosaur. King Kong films, when they are good, delve into characters well, I feel. The 2005 film had a large cast and cannon fodder, but we get like 6 characters with arcs and mini arcs. Yeah, the 2005 King Kong was really good. Again, though, for the majority of it, they're pretty normal people. Especially Anne. She's literally someone they plucked off the street. MT says, Clayton, sorry to be late to the party, but the worst part of Jurassic World was the family aspect. I couldn't care about the divorce, Zach or Gray. It just felt so tacked on. I will disagree there. It's not tacked on. The entire reason why Zach and Gray go off-road is because their parents are getting a divorce. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way, man. Because Zach's trying to cheer up Gray because he's sad that his parents are getting a divorce and he's not having a good time. Even though he's in the best place in the world, Jurassic World. He wanted to be there. He loves dinosaurs and all that. So there's that look Zach gives him to say, like, hey, let's go off road or whatever. Or he goes, when they get called back, he refuses to go back. So the exact reason why they go off trail and then meet the Indominus, and that's what gets Claire and Owen into the adventure and all that sort of stuff to go out into the park. And Claire, basically, it's so their divorce causes Claire to leave the control room, which leaves Masrani. Obviously, Masrani's in charge, but it leaves Hoskins open to taking over the control room because Claire's not there. She's like out in the park. I don't feel like their divorce is tacked on. It might feel like that because a lot of people said that the divorce subplot doesn't go anywhere, but it doesn't have to go anywhere. The whole point was actually Zach and Gray's character arcs, where Zach actually steps up and starts to look after his brother. I'm not saying you have to like it, once I've made that explanation. It could be their performances or whatever that sort of throw you off, but I would contend that it's not... I'd combat, that it's not tacked on. I'd say it definitely isn't tacked on. Yo, Mary Stu. I remember Kelly Washington. Jurassic Room. Zach is meant to be a dick at the beginning because he's got to learn a lesson, and he learns his lesson through the events of what happens in the park. I think a lot of people tend to forget that Zach is one of the characters who has an arc in Jurassic World. Like, he genuinely does. He has to learn to look after his little brother, and he says to his little brother on the train, he's like, at some point you've got to grow up. And it's like, actually, Zach, you're the one who needs to grow up, and that's the lesson he learns through looking after his little brother. Yeah, British Tyrannosaur, the 1998 Godzilla babies were definitely wholly inspired by the Jurassic Park raptors. Yeah, MT. Yeah, I'm glad you do see something in Grey, and like what you said, it could have been handled better. The brother's like, yeah. I don't agree, but I can see where you're coming from. Yo, Big Shark 9000. I don't think Gray would necessarily think to just release the T-Rex. Like, he works out that they need to defeat the Indominus via something with more teeth. I'm not surprised his first thought wasn't, "Hey Claire, release the T-Rex." Like, it was actually Claire who fought to release the T-Rex. Gray just said we needed something that could, eat it. And also you got to think about that, like, releasing a T-Rex is no small matter. It's a T-Rex. Big Shark, I've been working on this frame of the Megaraptor Paddock. Actually, I'll open up the... Yeah, so that was what it looked like on the first stream, and now we're up to here. Yeah, the Predator definitely got butchered, Clayton. It's hideous. British Tyrannosaur. Although I'm not a fan of Shane Black using kids in his movies, the kid in the Predator was a pretty accurate portrayal of people with autism. I was impressed with that, at least. Yeah, Michael Tharn, that's pretty much it. The thing is, it's like the line, "we need more teeth." It's like a hook line, isn't it? It's like a, a memorable line because of the way it's been worded. Yeah, MT Bill, the how much do you think the island weighs? That's the weird one. That one I'll agree. That's the strange line. It's like, what does he mean by that? How much does the island weigh? And I like that Zach just says, like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Jurassic Park Evolution. What was that I was saying the other day as a joke? Like, there's some people who like to separate Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World franchises. Like, in their head, they're like two separate things, even though they're all one and the same. But like, just to play up just to troll those people, I like to say, well, if that's the case, that means the Jurassic Park franchise had human dinosaur hybrids in it. And the Jurassic World franchise, not so much. Not so much. They have hybrids, but they're the Indominus and Indoraptor, which are pretty cool. So anyone who meets someone who says those two franchises, or the franchises split that way, you just bring up the human dinosaur hybrids in Project Evolution and Dr. Burton. Admittedly, there's not many people out there like that, so. Oh, dearie me. Who's playing Claire's Sanctuary yet? No, I haven't. No, I just completed Bloomin' Isla Pena yesterday. And what a horrible time that was. What's so bad about evolution, says Clayton. I'm actually going to cut this out. Project Evolution. So what do you guys think to the old Dino-Defenders getting itself an IMDb? It's actually got an official IMDb page now. Thanks to my partner in crime, Tim, managed to get that all up and running. Pterodactyl, yeah. Jurassic Park Evolution. Evolution. It just makes it feel more legit now it's got an IMDb. Yeah, Clayton. I mean, I don't know how, like, obviously I can't review it, but if anyone wants to go give episode 1 a review on there, or, like, you know, rate it with the star system, I'd be most appreciative. Have you got a date for episode 2 yet, says Big Shark? Not a specific one, but not that long. It's actually going to be out sooner than I was expecting, which is good. It might be maybe around Christmas time, maybe. hopefully before Christmas. Hopefully a long time before Christmas. But we'll see. As you can see, it takes quite a while to get all this to be done. That's partly also why I wanted to do these live streams. As I've said before in the past, like, this kind of shows people how long it takes, and hopefully that kind of gives a bit of people can forgive how long it takes for the episodes to be done. Will the Grebdanu be in Dino-Defenders? I can put a nod to the Grebdanu in Dino-Defenders somewhere. That's a good idea. I'll do it. I'll put it in there somewhere. Obviously, it won't be a real creature in this series, but I'll put a nod to it somewhere. British Tyrannosaur, the sad part about me coming up with dumb JP ideas is that I end up wanting them, such as Ian Malcolm sends Maisie back in time to the first film to prevent the death of the future by genetic power. Jurassic Room. Does everyone have a favourite MCU film? Personally, mine is The Incredible Hulk. Mine's probably Iron Man 3. British Tyrannosaur says Winter Soldier. Okay, so let's save. That's a good port call. Clayton says, I don't really have a favourite. I kind of just watched them once and forgot about them. Clayton, you should rewatch Iron Man 3, but just ignore the rest of the MCU. Watch it as its own film. Like, just imagine it's the only Iron Man film. I mean, obviously some parts of it, like when he's talking about seeing aliens and stuff, might be a bit weird, but... I actually couldn't get on board with Thor Ragnarok. Didn't like it. I felt a bit like a sourpuss because everyone was saying how funny it was and stuff, and I just sat there in the cinema watching it. I was just like, yeah. Didn't strike a chord with me. That's blasphemy. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. You like Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day 2. Independence Day 2 was so bad. Like, I got so close to walking out of that film. I don't know why I didn't, to be honest. It's my only regret in life. Is stay until the end of that movie. I liked the design of some of the stuff in the film. That's my only positive. And I'm sure if I went back and listened to the score, it would be the score would be pretty cool. Because music scores in films tend to be like good. fair. I couldn't stand it. Clayton says I didn't see it. Don't, yeah, just avoid it. It's garbage. Hot garbage. So when does a Megaraptor have a big role in your show? Oh, that's a tough question, because it could either be... I'm going to say it has a big role from basically episode 3 onwards. Yeah, look at this. This is coming along nicely now. Now I'm just going to try and sort out this bar here. I think you guys are going to love the Megaraptor in this series. Oop. Because I'm trying to think of like what hasn't been done in other dinosaur film franchises, and what, like Jurassic Park, like what can I do that's totally different that hasn't been done, that will like make fans of these sort of stories be like, okay, that's something I haven't seen before. And so I've got this idea for what to do with the Megaraptor that I think you guys will find really interesting. Two seconds, guys. I've just got a phone call I need to take. 2 seconds. Okay, quick call. That was a quick call. Whoop, wrong screen. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. God damn, does that look good? Look at how good that looks. Alright, that's the background on my gaming stream one. Will there be porgs in Dino-Defenders, says Clayton. No. There'll be absolutely no porgs. Actually, I need to do a shadow thing under this, because I can't see where that is. Okay, so it's there. You've got to finish reading Andromeda Strain. Okay, enjoy. Dude, Andromeda Strain is so good. Which bit are you up to, Clayton? Just before you go. Oh, I don't know if he's still here. Oh, he is. I'm a bit past halfway down. Okay, so just before you go, I just want to say, like, how awesome is the bit, you should be up to it, where they go into the underground base and they stand in that room and there's that like flash of white light and all this like white dust falls on them and they realise that's like the top layer of their dead, all the dead skin they had on their bodies. Like, I always remember that bit from the Andromeda Strain and thinking like that's a really neat idea. Now you can go. Now you can go, Clayton. Don't let me hold you up. Later, dude. Cheers for coming by. Jurassic Grim says, if you want a sequel to Godzilla 1998, watch the Godzilla animated series. There's a great cartoon that carries on after the film. I actually prefer the series to the film, I think. It's funny you mention that, actually, because I've got both here. The entire series and the film. And they're on my shelf in such a way that it's like, you know, in chronological order. Jurassic Rim, I think it'd be cool if you added just some other wildlife that coexist on the island, like birds, frogs, and lizards. By the way, will any Spinosaurids show up? No Spinosaurids in this show, I'm afraid. There are birds already in the series. In this shot, I probably won't have... I'll probably have some insects flying about, but I won't have like lizards or anything. Yeah, it was definitely better than the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Which, funny enough, I have volume 1 of that. I have volume 2 on bloody Godzuki on the back. I have volume 2 on my wish list on Amazon, but I can't, you know, I can't be bothered to get it just because, like, you watch him once and then you're like, yeah, okay. British Tyrannosaur, no one. Jack. Speaking of which, I have it right here. What do you mean no one? Michael Tharm was just talking about it. Michael Tharm's not no one, British Tyrannosaur. How dare you? I have everything here. Name something and I'll see if I have it. Play this little game. What have I got behind me on the DVD shelf? Jurassic Room says, so what's your favourite kaiju from King of the Monsters? Was it mine was the Behemoth. I love the design choices and mythology made by Michael Doherty. I did really like Ghidorah, but it's going to sound sad of me. I actually like Godzilla. I think Godzilla was my favourite from the film. I like his updated look, and I like his presence in the movie. That scene where he's like giving his intimidation display underwater was like so good. That is what you want to see. And like just the way they beefed up his character and everything in that film, it was really good. But it was very close. Ghidorah was pretty much a showstopper. There's no way, you know. Rodan and Mothra were equally. Those two were both equal in my eyes in terms of how I favoured them in my head. But yeah, Godzilla was my choice. Jurassic Room says, so what's one of your favourite aspects of the DPG or Extinction Now websites? Also, what do you think the impact of Extinction Now will have on Jurassic World 3? Well, I can't talk about Jurassic World 3 or Jurassic Park 6 because I'm under non-disclosure agreement for that. And what are my favourite aspects of the DPG and Extinction Now? It seemed kind of... will it seem big-headed of me if I say something about something I created? I guess my favourite aspect of the DPG, if I have to be honest, was actually getting to sort of really talk about the dinosaurs, because when we did the Masrani Global campaign, it was more like it's more like it was all the corporate website about the company and the dinosaurs, and it was even like behind the scenes, the studio and us, we were all agreeing like the dinosaurs should be hidden for the most part. You know, they had the renders on the park website, but actually seeing the dinosaurs in the flesh in the movie is different to how seeing the renders on the website, as you will clearly know by now. Those renders don't look anything like basically like their movie counterparts. They're meant to be sort of silly artistic renders, but when it came to the DPG, we were talking about the dinosaurs 100% of the time. They were the focus. So we got sent all the ILM renders and all that sort of stuff, and it was just, my favourite aspect of it was actually just getting to talk about the dinosaurs and getting to write all the reports about the value of looking after the predators and you know, the impact the volcano had on them, what happened to their rights after the fall of Jurassic Park, and like what happened after the San Diego incident, and all of that sort of stuff. That was what I loved about the DPG thing. And the Extinction Now one, my favorite aspect of the Extinction Now, Manuel did that. That was the San Diego video, bringing that to life. For clarity, like we talked about the idea of that a while back, and we didn't think much of it. And then one day Manuel just drops that in our email, and he's like, "What do you think of this?" And we were just like, "Oh my god, you've done it! Like you've done it!" And we were like, "Wow!" So we have to get that out there. And we emailed that to Colin, and he just was like, "Yeah, we've got to use that. That's insanely good, cool." So my favourite aspect of the Extinction Now, because it was such a short campaign compared to the rest of it, it's like there's not much to say about Extinction Now really. But my favourite aspect of that was actually bringing to life, or getting to be a part of releasing the San Diego footage, because that was something that like fans had speculated for a long time. Like, oh, it's all in the news. I remember seeing fans making newspaper clippings of the San Diego incident and all that sort of stuff, and fake news reports. And it's like to actually have like another angle of that was fun. And I worked on the sound for that video, so that was fun. Jurassic Room. So is Colin an all-round cool guy? Because he seems to be really driven by the fans. Colin's great. Colin's a lot of fun. He's a huge fan of this franchise, and I'm not just saying that lightly. We talk to him often, and we discuss the franchise and what the fans are talking about and that. And yeah, it's just like if we ever have something to talk about Jurassic, like even if I have a question about something that we might be thinking of for a future project, I'll email Colin and just ask him, and he'll always reply, and he'll always send us cool images and stuff that he's excited about in terms of his fandom to Jurassic, because he's a fan like us. He's like, look how cool this is, and we're like, oh my word, like yeah, and all that sort of stuff. Obviously I can't go into that too much, but in terms of his actual fanness, well, his role as a fan, he's like one of us. It's just the problem is he's writing and producing it, so it's not like he's gonna just suddenly jump into a chat like this or anything, mainly because he knows that the focus will go on to trying to get him to say something about spoilers. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. He played Jurassic World Evolution on a live stream with the guys at Frontier. And you want to know what he's like as a fan, that's a pretty good video to watch, because he talks about, what the fans think and stuff in that. And that's him live streaming playing Jurassic World Evolution. I think that's on Twitch, actually, his live stream of Jurassic World Evolution. Right, now I need to cut these windows out. I've been streaming for nearly 3.5 hours, so I think what I'm going to do is cap the stream off in a few minutes, because I need to make some food and eat and get on with my doing other things today. that's that. So we've got these two windows here. So let's change. You can't see the window that I'm using, but there's like a window I've got open, that, like a separate window, to get the sort of glass effect. She needs to be... I'm actually going to change this to green because it's meant to be like reflecting the trees. Like so. Oy, 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 that is... I'll merge that. Merge that on there as well. And I'll merge that tree onto there as well, so that's that. Wow, so this is coming along as the base so far. MT says, I hope he'll do something that's been lacking. I hope he'll do something that has been lacking since the Lost World, making the herbivores dangerous again. Imagine a random person, not a villain, being stabbed through the chest by an aggressive Therizinosaurus. If someone stressed the animal while it tried to eat, it could end up in a court of who was responsible for the dino damage. Yeah. Well, the herbivores made their first kill in Fallen Kingdom, didn't they? Thank you, Michael. He says this is looking super, buddy. Yeah, we've gone from this, this to this. I mean, which one do you prefer? Do you think I should just go with this one as a frame in Dino-Defenders, or do you think I should go for this? Just gonna add a little red. First one, it shows the raw passion, says Michael Thumb. Someone getting impaled by a Triceratops horn, says Big Shark. I don't know if any of you in the chat have seen the film Planet of Dinosaurs, but there's a scene in that where a guy gets impaled by a Triceratops horn. The Willis O'Brien test footage for creation. Michael Thumb says that's the beauty of hybrid techniques. You can enhance something great in one medium and make it amazing with digital enhancements. Yeah, and it's also like trying to retain that sort of watercolor look at the same time as doing something that's totally not watercolors. I can go even better if I add a shadow. Let me just see what this looks like. Add a shadow underneath the oh god. You can change like whoa. Just something subtle to keep it from popping, so it goes from like flat against the trees like this to kind of looking a little bit more 3D. Convert that to a smart object. Okay. Jurassic Room. So if you had a chance to make a cameo in Jurassic World 3, would you take it? I know I'd be watching closely for background people. It'll be the last chance in a lifetime at least. I can say I was in a JP film. Of course I would take up the offer if I was offered a cameo in Jurassic World 3. Of course. Which fan wouldn't do that? But I don't think I'm pretty. I don't think I'm pretty enough to be in Jurassic Park. Plus, it'd be jarring. I wouldn't want to take anyone out of their experience by seeing my ugly mug on in the movie. Okay, so actually let's copy that and paste it first. MT says, have you tried screaming Eric into Colin's ear? It should land you a roll. Eric! Grant says that's a very bad idea. What's a bad idea? Okie doke, so okay, I think that is what I'm doing for today, folks. I'm going to save it here. Again, let's actually, I've got an idea. Let me I was going to try and see what it looked like before I started this stream, but I don't think I can anymore. I just saved it. But anyway, yeah, we go from the beginning, that to that. There you go. You got the good and the bad. Good, the bad, and the ugly. right there. So next live stream when I paint, which will be probably next week now because I'm going to be away at a wedding at the weekend, I will come back to finally do the last touches to this frame, which what I'm going to need to do, the last things I need to do for this frame is add some weapons to the edge of this building pointing inwards, some like mounted weapons, some more of the kind of tower structures, potentially another building behind it in this gap here. That's why there's like a gap here waiting, like another sort of separate building, and then all of the foliage in the foreground, because we've got this backgrounds down, but like the foliage in the foreground is still what was left over from the last thing. So that'll be next week. I'll probably stream that. So be on the lookout on my Twitter account for when I'm going to go live. Ooh. And there is a couple of nights coming up in July where I'm going to be streaming all night, as much as I can. I'm going to do really, really long streams because my wife, actually, she goes away. Do you know what? Just before I go, I'm just going to do this. She goes away for a few days, and I was like, well, she's going to go away for a few days. What can I do? My wife's not here. I'll live stream. So I'll be doing that. Sorry, I'm just doing doing some other touches. But anyway, yes, that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream. Yes, Jurassic Room. I think you've said that a few times that you need to get Twitter. A lot of the Jurassic fans are all on there. Like I'd say the core Jurassic fan group are all on there. You should join in because you're one of the core fans, Jurassic Room. I've watched your videos. But yeah, anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the stream. Please, if you can, share a link to the Patreon. Tell everyone about this project. Tell them that this is something they should back and get involved with if they love dinosaurs and stories like Jurassic and sci-fi adventure stories. But yeah, I will catch you guys in the near future. See you later.